I tried making music for my game from scratch, however, I don't even know how to play any instruments, and I have absolutely no knowledge of music theory. So how far can I actually get knowing nothing at all? In early 2026, I made my first complete game, which you can check out in the video linked in the card in the top right corner. But the point is, for that project, I intended to do absolutely everything in the game myself, which included the music, which didn't go very well. And I ended up having to settle for copyright-free music from the internet, and that left me pretty unsatisfied. Until recently, I started working on a new project, a new game, this time with 13 times more time to work on it, and I realized this would be the perfect opportunity to finally give music a shot. Little did I know how much I would struggle with simple music notes over the next few days. Alright, I was determined. I was going to make all the music for this new game myself, and finally put to use my MIDI controller that had been gathering dust in my room for years. But where should I even start? Well, as I said before, I had absolutely no technical knowledge about music. I wouldn't even be able to tell you the notes on a keyboard. So I decided to start right there, with the absolute basics. I searched the internet and gradually learned about things while writing everything down. It was a complex experience, because I had never had any contact with technical information in the music field, nor had I ever studied any kind of art this way that wasn't drawing or painting, so it was definitely very frustrating to go through that phase again where nothing made sense. Music didn't feel like drawing, where I could just sit down and, well, draw. There seemed to be way more steps to music than just sitting down and playing, and that really blocked me. But eventually, I started to understand a bit more about how things worked, and the paths started to clear up. First, I properly understood what music actually is, the characteristics of sound and the musical elements. After that, I finally came to understand musical notes and their relations to whole tones and semitones. And that's how I kept moving forward, learning about chord symbols, accidentals, intervals, and most importantly, scales and chords. There are definitely several mistakes I need to fix in these notes of mine, but they were enough to set me on the path I needed. And even though I had studied relatively little, I discovered something. And that was that scales and their chords were definitely the key pieces that would allow me to build whatever music I wanted. With that in mind, I jotted down the basics of chords and a few scales, and headed towards the next step of this journey. And that next step was finding out where the music would be made, the program I would use to make it, the digital audio workstation, also known as a DAW. After searching for a bit, it wasn't hard to find the one that appealed to me the most. Reaper, an affordable and professional DAW, with a very generous trial period actually. Unfortunately, art creation softwares are the least intuitive of all. And I say this from experience, okay? The feeling of opening Blender for example and being faced with all of these on the screen is terrifying. And of course, it wouldn't be any different with Reaper. It took a good few minutes just to figure out how to navigate it, and even now I still feel lost every time I use it. But it did the trick. I managed to connect my MIDI controller, which I would use as a keyboard, and now all that was missing were the instruments. Just like with the DAW, it didn't take long before I found some good plugins, which in this case are simply extra instruments to complement Reaper, and the ones I chose were the plugins from Monster DAW. Great quality and completely free plugins, which included several instruments like pianos, drums and woodwinds, which were exactly what I needed. A bit more time messing around in Reaper passed until I finally felt ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. And then, I finally started, and I started by deciding the purpose of the music. Initially, my plans were for this to be the main ambient music of the game, but as I kept trying, I think it ended up feeling more like a theme or menu song for the project. The plan was simple, a song with a more melancholy tone and a feeling that something that should have been there was missing. I had no idea how to merge this more emotional side with the theory I had studied, but after racking my brain for quite some time, I decided that it would be interesting to head in the direction of jazz, using mainly the piano, accompanied by a slow drum beat and a saxophone in the background, all very slow and calm. And there isn't much to say about these choices other than they just felt appropriate for the vibe of the song. Art is art, right? Some things never change. Anyway, I decided to start with the main melody of the song on the piano, so I basically started playing around with notes and chords I knew, following the jazz scale. And for accompaniment and support, I added a second piano layer following the same logic, and this was the result. It was nothing grand, but it felt like a solid and satisfying enough foundation. From there, I felt the need for a lower pitched instrument to sit in the background, and I didn't think twice before choosing the saxophone, which fit perfectly with what I had in mind. Everything was actually going surprisingly well, even better than I imagined. It was all very simple, I know, but the concept of emptiness I wanted to convey ended up marrying perfectly with my experience, which made me really happy. After that, I decided to implement a drum layer, but the first version wasn't the best. Take a listen. I didn't really know how to arrange the drum sounds, so I took the opportunity to rest, since I was already pretty satisfied with what I had so far. The next day, I gave the drums a slight overhaul along with some other minor details, and finally reached the final version of the soundtrack. Overall, it was a fun experience trying to create music for the first time. Despite having struggled so much and getting stuck several times, the final result made me really happy. Honestly, I didn't expect to be so satisfied, especially considering my complete lack of background in music creation. It's certainly nothing mind-blowing, but it's my first song, and everyone starts somewhere. The game this music was designed for will eventually become a video for this channel, so don't forget to subscribe so you can watch it. I guarantee it will be worth it. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you in the next one.